COGTA Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa has reiterated the call that non-viable municipalities must cease to exist. He believes keeping non-functional municipalities going is irresponsible and hinders service delivery. At least 65% of municipalities in the country are in financial distress. Hlabisa was engaging the business sector in East London as part of consultations on the review of the 1998 White Paper on Local Government. He added that every municipality must submit annual financial statements as a way to remain accountable to the public. The Municipal Demarcation Board CEO, Manye Moroka, joins us now for more. Mr. Moroka, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the late edition.
Good evening, Simpiwe, and your viewers.
It's an absolute pleasure. Indeed, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you and having you join us this evening. Sir, now Minister Hlabisa has called for non-viable municipalities to be dissolved, saying it's irresponsible to keep them afloat. So does the Municipal Demarcation Board agree with this assessment? And if so, let's talk about what concrete steps are being taken to review and possibly collapse, or merge the dysfunctional municipalities.
Okay, let's just go through the procedural matters first.
Yeah.
In terms of the Municipal Demarcation Act, Section 221(1)(a), it says that the municipal board must determine municipal boundaries in territories of the Republic of South Africa. And then number 2 says it may redetermine any boundaries determined in terms of that paragraph A. The second one, which is Section 22(a) thereof, on its own initiative, it can do so, or on the request by the minister or the MEC. Now, when the minister goes out and says, we have out there a number of dysfunctional municipalities and those need us to go and look into them, he's got 2 options. He can ask us to amalgamate them, or we can de-amalgamate them. Now, when we amalgamate them, it's because we are bringing to the fore municipalities that will share resources and be able to work in that process. Now, in terms of the section that I read out to you, he will follow that procedure. He will document a proposal. He will submit it to the Municipal Demarcation Board, and then they will view it in terms of a procedure that I will explain to you.
Yeah. But then having said that, Mr. Moroka, what criteria does the MDB currently use to determine a municipality's viability beyond financial distress? And are those criteria still fit for purpose given the current crisis in local governance?
Now, remember, when we go out and we receive proposals to go and redetermine municipal boundaries, we base our facts on the fact that capacity assessments have been done.
Yes.
And those capacity assessments determine the level of viability of a municipality.
Right.
Ability to be good at financial controls, having skilled people there, and all of that. Now, once those boxes have been ticked, then we can go ahead and we can process the proposals. But in instances where it is evident upon us having sent out our research team to go and verify the information that it is not true to what was captured in their proposal, we will then agree in terms of providing the board with proposals leading into what the minister is asking for.
Now, Mr. Moroka, of all the municipalities flagged as non-viable, how many were created during past demarcation processes? And does the board accept any responsibility perhaps for contributing to the current fragmentation of governance?
Let's go back to 2016, then we go back to 2021 and currently.
Yeah.
We've not added or subtracted municipalities.
Okay.
Now, that determination and redetermination was concluded on the 28th of February last year. Currently, what we are doing is the inner boundary redetermination. So in the next 18 months or so, just under 18 months, just post the LGE 2627, which is likely to happen somewhere between the 2nd of November and the 2nd of February, any Wednesday thereon. Then after that, the redetermination and determination process will commence. People out there will then go and articulate their proposals in the form of stakeholders with municipalities or individuals or business sector or the minister himself or the MEC himself. Then that process will trigger the consultative process that normally happens and come with that.
Now, earlier on, you shared with us the criteria the MDB, employed to determine a municipality's viability beyond financial distress. But then, do you believe that political pressure or political gerrymandering, as it were, has ever influenced demarcation decisions in ways that could have undermined long-term municipal sustainability?
The MDB is apolitical, but it functions in a political terrain. So in other words, we have to be very sensitive to those factors. But we do not, because our process is open to the public, it gets publicized, we use you as the media and everybody else. It is very difficult to lean on political influence. There have been instances where it has been said, but our transparency has proven beyond doubt that we are not influenced by political interference.
Now, I just need to pick your brain on this, Mr. Moroka. I mean, with over 65% of municipalities in financial distress, to what extent is this a demarcation problem versus a governance and accountability failure?
If you can repeat your question.
Okay, in consideration of the fact that over 65% of municipalities are in financial distress, let's talk about, to what extent is this a demarcation problem, juxtaposed versus a governance or accountability failure? Look,
governance or accountability failure is on the basis of whether or not in the strategic positions at a municipal level, you've got skilled, experienced people or otherwise. Now, you must understand how the process of a dysfunctional municipality is categorized and or defined. It's where there is lack of financial accountability, lack of financial controls, lack of consequence management, lack of basic administrative procedure. Now that part is a political part which is not on our side. What we do, however, is to make sure that we pronounce on when we go and redetermine or determine. It must promote inclusive growth. It must lead to better economic development. It must also lead to functionality of municipalities. But that process is done by the municipality after we have completed our process. So I needed you to understand that one perfectly. So in other words, we can never, as the MDB, be blamed for dysfunctionality of municipalities. It can never happen that way. We can only be blamed if when we go out and we begin to determine or redetermine, we do not follow the procedure, we do not engage the public, we do not listen to the public. Now the Act is very clear. It forces us to go and influence the recommendations that we put before the board as very much informed, and they must be for the sake of producing sustainable and functional municipalities the way the minister is proposing. Now what the minister is saying, the minister is saying if there are 10 municipalities out there and all 10 are dysfunctional, is there no a better program of us collapsing them into one? So you move from 10 to 1. But it will be his proposal based on what the environmental dictates tell him for us to go and take to the board and the board to make a determination.
All right, Mr. Moroka, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I was unfortunately out of time, but I was quite keen to understand whether the original vision of developmental local government has failed and what role demarcation should play in rebooting that vision. But great chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas with us.
Thank you very much, and thank you to your viewers. And yes, the next chapter of ours in the next few months will be on the developmental pattern and nothing else.
And we're certainly, willing to engage you on that aspect a little later on. But thank you so much. Well, many thanks and appreciation to the Municipal Demarcation Board CEO, Manye Moroka, who joined us to analyze COGTA Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa's call that, the non-viable municipalities must cease to exist. This in the face of public confidence in municipalities declining, triggering, of course, the MDB to ensure that future boundary changes are transparent and consultative.